make it a better place. It'll take creation.
Hi everybody, this is Tina. Welcome to my video today. I'm going to be using some of the product that I used earlier this week to create. I'm going to make 4 cards with you guys. I'm going to use Blushing Bride and Real Red. And then I'm using this paper stack. It's a 6x6 paper stack. And you can see I've really cut it up and used it. This is the Sending Love paper. And I have a paper share that is still running. There's still spots available. I'll link a card right up here. You can check that out if you're wanting to check out the paper. This is a great stack. I love it's red and white, so you can really add some different pops of color. So I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to be using this stamp set again. And then I pulled a couple other stamp sets. This is from the annual catalog. And So Very Kind of You, Hugs and Kisses, Love You to Pieces, As Sweet as Can Be. These are great for Valentine's Day stuff or like the kinds of cards we're going to make today. I thought that was great. And then I pulled this one out because I needed a larger sentiment. So let's get started. I have some pieces already done. I'm going to walk you through what I'm doing. So I'm starting with a Whisper White card base right here. Opens like this. And then I chose to add some Pool Party to these cards for a pop of color. And then we'll add some black as well. So there's this pattern right here. And it has these great designs. It has some of the succulents in there from another set, which is one of the things I like about Stampin' Up! Their paper, their designer paper will often coordinate with stamp sets that we have. So let's measure and see what size this panel is going to be. We're going to do our blue layer at 2 1/2. And then that's going to be at 5 1/4. And then our designer piece, we're going to take a 1/4 inch off. So we're going to do 2 1/4. And then it'll be by 5. And that's going to give us this nice panel right here. So we can just attach this. You can choose to pop this layer up if you want. This is a card that you could mass produce and get a lot of cards out of this design. And then also you would be able to use a lot of your designer paper. And any of the designs are going to work for this panel. So whichever one you like. I have a scalloped circle. This is from the Scalloped Circle Punch. That is 2 3/8. And then I took my framelits, my stitched circle framelits right here. I just love these. And I did a white circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp with some Real Red. Fits perfect in there. And then I'm nervous to touch this because I do not want ink to get on it or ink to smear. Ink looks dry now. It takes a minute to soak into the paper when your ink pad is pretty wet. So then we can just take our card right here and we can layer this right here. I loved how simple this card was. It just makes me feel like anybody could put this together. I don't like things that are super complicated. So let's grab the next card we're going to do. And this is going to be kind of the same concept. I wanted a little chunk of patterned paper. So we're using Real Red cardstock. That's a card base. This is going to be a layer. So it's cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And it's going to give you a nice layer. Then we have some more of that Pool Party. I basically took 2 sheets of Pool Party, 2 sheets of Real Red, and 2 sheets of Whisper White, and I was able to make these cards. So we'll just layer this here. For this piece, this square is going to be 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and then 3 by 3 is your designer paper. Now for your designer paper, you're going to want a solid pattern. Probably the words probably aren't going to work, but anything that's solid like this that maybe has just a smaller design. And so I just layered that there. Then we can use the same stamp set. That's the other thing that I like, when I can make several cards using the same stamp set or the same sentiment, and it still turns out really nice. And I don't feel like I have to have a million things in order to create several different cards. So we'll put some dimensionals on here. Then I can pop this piece up right here. It's going to go right at the end. And my card will open up just like this. So these are our first two. So we have two more to do. So this one's going to be a little bit fun. This one is a little bit more complicated. In fact, I think that, okay, so you guys can see this. So this is our card base again. So here is our card base. It is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's the other piece of cardstock from this card. Okay. So then I did the same thing. I took a piece of white cardstock here, and it's 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to have a nice border. Okay. So I'm going to put down a piece of paper to catch some ink because I don't want to smear the ink. So I'm going to line this up really straight. I promise that you can do this. I know it's going to seem like, whoa, I can't do that. But I promise. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, nothing ever has to be perfect. And then just try it. So I have the Kiss from this stamp set right here. Says Kiss right there. So I'm going to take this little stamp set. We're using Real Red. And what I'm going to do is just start at the bottom. This is a photopolymer stamp. So you're going to be able to see right through it to see where you're stamping. And I've already, like, it's not perfect. It's not perfectly lined up. I'm not really great at perfectly lining things up. But you can see that I'm just coming across here and I'm stamping. And I started off the paper. So that's a big key, and I'm actually going to end right like that, which I wish it was off a little bit more. So what I want to do is start over here now. We're going to stack these, and I'm going to go more off the paper over here. So I'm just spacing them out. Like there's nothing, you can see I'm not trying to be perfect. I really don't want them stacked one on another. So see, this is starting to get stacked. I should have done them a little bit closer. So let's, well, we'll just try to get this one really, really close. And then really close there. And then it'll start to, but I'm really not even worried if it's not perfect. Like that one's way off. See, that one's way off. So now what I want to do is kind of start over so that the stamping is over the spaces. And so if you were super worried about the way it looked, you could just make it really messy. Go back and stamp with a lighter color, like with pink. You could stack the stamping on each other, but really I'm not worried. It's kind of it's meant to kind of look messy. If you set out with the idea of it looking messy, when it does look messy, you won't worry about it. So I've done about 3 or 4 layers there, so you can see. You can do more if you want. So now I'm going to take some ribbon. Now this is not Stampin' Up! Ribbon, but it's very common ribbon. So I feel like you could go to Michael's and find this ribbon. It is black grosgrain ribbon, which I hope I'm saying that right. I'm not positive that I'm saying the name of it right, but I've had this ribbon for a long time. I like this particular ribbon. It has the grooves in it because it ties really nice. So I just did a cheater method bow where I just tied some ribbon around the other ribbon and it gives me this faux like bow. And then this bow piece can move up and down the ribbon. So what I want to do is I want to layer it on here. This is where we're adding black. At first I really wasn't sure what I wanted to add to this part with this kind of ribbon is you can put the adhesive right there on the back. So we'll use the grid mat right down here. It's a little bit hard to tell with the black mat and the black ribbon. But what I'm going to do is line this up. You could add a strip of paper. If you don't have ribbon, then just add a black strip of paper. Like cut it at 1/4 inch and add black across there. So we will flip this over and we'll go ahead and trim it. Okay, so now what we can do is add this panel to our red panel. Now I trimmed that black ribbon so it didn't go all the way across the card. It just ends right there. You could make that ribbon stretch if you wanted. I'll show you an example for that. So now we're going to use another stamp set from that same stamp. It says Sending Love. We're going to stamp that right on there. We're going to grab our lips again like we did earlier in the week. This is just another way that you can use this. We'll do the same thing where we'll dip it in the ink up here. Ink up your lips. We'll come right here and stamp off. And then we'll stamp right over that red ink. And then that is the entire card. So it's super simple. It has a lot of white space. It's easy to do. You don't even notice if it's not perfect. Here's another one that I did, where I didn't add a bow. I just did a black piece of ribbon on there, but you get the idea. So now let's work on our very last card. So with this last card, I wanted to add a different color other than the blue. The blue looks great, but if you wanted to add another color like black or smoky slate or basic gray like we used earlier in the week, that would be perfect too. So now we just have a couple layers here. I have one that is, the white is 5.5. So this is going to stretch all the way across my card. It's 5.5 by 2.5. Then this is 5.25 by 2.25. We're going to layer these together. So don't forget that Celebrations is happening right now. So for every $50 you spend, you're getting a free item out of the Celebration catalog. And next week, I'll be diving in and using some Celebration product. I am trying to use the same product for you guys a couple times during the week so that you have more ideas instead of just jumping around and making you guys feel like you have to have every single stamp set or every single product in a catalog. I'm really trying to make sure that I use some of the same product a couple times during the week. So I'll be using some Celebration product next week. I used my grid mat right here just to line this up. Press that down. And then I'm going to do the same thing where I'm just going to use this black ribbon, because if we have it out on our desk, we might as well just use it, right? Instead of reaching for something different. So we'll do the same thing. I just cut this a little bit longer. Then I cut a pretty good sized piece of my ribbon. We will fold that under and we just tie it in a knot. So it's super simple. We just do cheater method, tying a ribbon. Pull it out, and then when you tighten it, just make sure that your ribbon is laying flat. Then we can turn this over and just run our snail adhesive right over that ribbon, and that's going to be perfect. So we'll bring this back down here. Hopefully you guys are still with me. This was 4 cards, which was a lot to make in one video, but I wanted to show you guys all these ideas. You could do this with any designer paper you had. It doesn't have to be this. It doesn't have to be this themed. You could make birthday cards, thank you cards. Okay, so we flip it over upside down to trim it off. That way we know that it looks good on the front. And then I just have this piece here. So this is Smoky Slate. It is 3.5 by 1 3/4, and then we just take a 1/4 inch off. So 3.25 by 1.5, okay? So now what I did is I went ahead and I used the thank you. So this is just a different, I wanted a big sentiment. So whatever you had, you could use. This was one of the larger sentiments I had. Stamp that down. We'll add a little bit of adhesive on the back. You don't even have to pop anything up if you don't want to. Our card back over and we'll add this sentiment, right? Oh, you guys see what happened? This was totally my fault. But when I flipped it over, I smeared it. So the red ink got smeared, which is kind of a bummer. But we'll just go with it now. I probably won't send this card out, but I'll finish it up and I'll show you my sample. So here's how that looks with the bow on there. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing these 4 cards. These are 4 really simple cards that you could do. You don't have to have a ton of supplies to do these. Here's the other one. But I love the way these came out. These are the cards that will be in my packages for customers who order who order product. This is the thank you card I'll be sending out. I always send out a blank card so that you can reuse it, and it doesn't have my note in it. It just has a little sticky. You pull that out and then you can use it. I hope you guys are having a great day. I'll be back tomorrow with some Project Life items, and then next week I'll be diving into using all of the fun celebration items that are in that catalog. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later.